today we're going to take a look at the DigiSlider wing arm. This is basically like a camera slider without rails. And what they've done is they've actually motorized their wing arm, and then there's a belt around a couple of gears here. There's a lock in the middle to keep it from moving around. You pull this out and you twist this around, and now it's unlocked, and you can see how it moves. Basically, when you have a camera mounted up here, the motor will drive this arm this way, and then it'll move it the opposite direction this way, and your camera will actually track straight. So it's very much like a slider. It's a linear movement that goes sideways. Obviously, if you face your camera in this direction here, then you're doing kind of like a push-pull, so your camera will move forward and it will move back, and it'll track straight the whole time. So it's interesting because it is motorized, and it is only about 6 inches in this length right over here, so it's really small, easy to pack up. Then this is the time-lapse controller here, which actually does shoot, move, shoot, and they've upgraded the remote so that it also does ramping. The ramping is as it starts the travel, it kind of builds up speed, and as it comes to the end of its travel, it actually slows down. It'll do a pause, and then it'll actually ramp back up the other direction. So that update on the remote makes it a lot smoother throughout the entire movement back and forth, and it will do auto looping as well. That's one of the functions, is auto looping. So if you're doing a time lapse or even a video move, because it'll do real-time video moves, it'll just go back and forth, very smooth. Even at the end, which is the update, will slow down, pause, and then come back in the other direction, and that all prevents camera shake. So it's a nice update on the remote here. So let's take a look at how it sets up. On the front here, on the top, you have a quarter thread, and this is where you would put like a, your camera, but I put a mini ball head here so I can move the camera around. And then underneath here, you've got a 3/8 mount right over here, and that's what goes directly onto a say a tripod. So let me set that up over here on my tripod. Now there's a couple of cables here. One of these cables will go to the motor and then straight to the controller here. So we just plug this in. So this cable right here is a little bit long, so you can like set your remote down or hang it somewhere. Now you have to power this. So what I have is a CCTV battery. This is a power bank. This is one of those 12 volt DC out, has a USB. Super cheap, you find them everywhere. They sell them as well, but this is one that I had already. So what I do is I just put these together, and then I just put a little bit of tape on the side. This is how I'm holding mine together, but Velcro works just as well. So to power this, you're going to have another little barrel tip to barrel tip here, and that goes from the battery into the remote. We turn this guy on, and that's it. You're pretty much set up. And the first thing we want to do is we want to change the settings here, and we want to set the start and the end point. So the first thing we're going to do is we hit start, and I'm going to move it in one direction, and you'll notice that it's moving. So this is where we're going to set our A point, and then we're going to set our B point. I have the speed down right now, but you can see how slow it's moving. And let's just say this is good for our start point, and then I'm going to hit enter here, and then let's set our end point. I'm going to move it to the opposite direction, and this will be our B point. And then after that, we just do auto looping. I'll choose that as my end point over here. So in the remote here, we could either use that movement for time lapse or real-time video. So for time lapse, it's just going to do a continuous slide with your camera, and then there's a shutter trigger in here, so you could do a shoot, move, shoot function. So it'll actually trigger your camera, it will move, it will trigger your camera, it will move. So that's really great for like long exposure type time lapse, and it's a good, easy, simple way to move that camera. I'm going to choose video mode, I'm going to choose auto mode, and then we're going to do auto loop. And then after that, we're going to set our direction. But before we do, let's go ahead and throw a camera on here just so you guys can see how that works. All right, let's call this good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the direction here. So we're just going to allow that to move, and then you'll watch it pan and back and forth automatically. All right, as you can see, it's doing a continuous loop, and as it gets to the end here, you'll notice that it will slow down at the end and it'll actually pause a bit, and that's to prevent your camera from shaking, you know, by suddenly jerking in the opposite direction or stopping too quickly. And then to stop, we just click the button here, and then we press and hold the joystick to exit out of the menu, and that's about it. It is a really simple, easy to travel with linear slider that's going to give you dynamic camera movement, very consistent, and as you notice, it's very quiet. So there you go. If you guys are interested in the DigiSlider wing arm, they have more information. I'll have a link in the description below this video and also on the website cheesycam.com.